Completely by accident. I needed a job.
Hi, everybody. Super Dave Quinn here. I'm at the Texas Economic Development mid-year annual conference with my great friend Lisa Denton. And one of the questions that we've been asking folks is, Lisa, what is your origin story? How did you become an economic developer?
Completely by accident. I needed a job.
It's a good place to start.
It's a good place to start. I was in the Metroplex, single mom, and trying to come back home where family was, and landed in economic development in Kilgore, Texas, and fell in love with it. How do you not fall in love with having an impact on the community?
Right. It's one of those things, right? Like it's bigger than yourself.
It is. I went into it and I did the interview, and it was with Amanda Nobles, and she sent me home with all this information, and I'm reading it that night going, I don't even know what this is, but it's fascinating. I think I want to try it. And I fell in love with it. Something new every day. It's a challenge. It's certainly you don't get bored.
Right.
There's no time to get bored, and I kind of like challenges and puzzles, and
right.
We do that every day.
So tell me, first, I skipped this part. Introduce yourself. Introduce who you are, where you're at now, what's your title.
So, Lisa Denton, I'm the executive director in Kilgore, Texas.
All right, very good. And so, what it's been, if you could name one thing, how long have you been an economic developer? Let's start there.
Just over 20 years.
2 decades, so you must have really liked it. So what's one thing that 20 years ago, if somebody had said, this is what to be successful here, this is something that you really need to do. What's that skill that a new economic developer might be? You're new to the industry. I'm very passionate. I love this. It's a fascinating job. But what is the thing that has, over the 20 years, allowed you to be successful? What do you think the trait is that they need to develop?
Relationship building, 100%. Everything we do is built around relationships. Don't be afraid to go talk to people. If you are not an outgoing person, figure out how to get out of your shell. You can chill at night, climb back into the shell.
Some of us have to go back to the hotel and curl up in a ball.
Get away, but during the day, you got to get out and meet people. You got to get to know that community and know what makes it tick. And because that's what building the relationship with those companies. It takes time for them to make a move. They got to trust you.
Yeah. So I hear that a lot. You've got to get out in the community. I think as an economic developer, you need to do that. How do you do that? What's one practical tip that an economic developer, when you move into a new city or take a new job, what is it that you actually, what does that look like on a daily basis? How do I get to know do I just call them up and say, hey, I'm coming to visit, or knock on the door? How do you get to know the businesses in your community?
There's some of that. Some people will get Rotary, Kiwanis, some of those kind of things. Get involved with the school districts or the college, get on committees, go to meetings, go to lunch.
Right. Be intentional with your time.
Right.
I read a great book. It was Never Eat Lunch Alone.
Right.
And I thought, man, how many days do I just sit at my desk and eat a sandwich or whatever? Those are missed opportunities. And really, you have to invest, take the budget and invest in that for these types of meetings.
We do that with BREI. So CEO lunches, or taking the HR director out to lunch, and just, how can I help you? But at the same time, when you're meeting them, and they may be bringing someone with them, and then you're meeting that next person, and if you're getting involved in a CT advisory board at the school or the college, then you're meeting several business people, and one leads to another, and there's maybe a connection group in your town, and get involved.
So I think we overcomplicate it sometimes. One of the things I did in Bastrop was I used to buy donuts for the Downtown Business Alliance, and that sounds really simple, but I went to the first meeting and they were there and they were all sort of complaining. They were all together and all they were doing was griping about what things were going on. And I'm like, well, there's no coffee. It was like a gripe session. So I started showing up with donuts, and we started out the meeting like, hey, I'm happy because I got a donut now. It completely changed the perception of the meeting, but it allowed me that.
Did anybody ever ask if they had all these complaints? What are you doing about it?
Yeah, no, they were just griping. There was never like, let's solve it. It was just, yeah, I have that complaint too. And I'm like, okay, now I had donuts. They love seeing me now because I'm the guy that brought the donuts.
Because you got to do more than bring donuts, though.
Well, but then you start solving. I never promised I'm going to solve your problem.
Right.
in the meeting, you go, thanks for sharing that feedback or whatever. Maybe don't even say thank you for sharing it. You just listen. But then you go back and work on something. And it can be really simple, right? Have you had a moment like that where you were able to hear something and solve it and have it?
Yeah, because sometimes it's as simple as we have this pothole right outside of our driveway and we just can't seem to get it fixed. And how easy can that be sometimes to just
Go see the public works guy.
see the public works guy to get it fixed, and all of a sudden you're a hero. And it was simple.
Yeah. And you make a big deal of it, you just fill it in,
You
right?
got to have that relationship with the public works guys. And maybe you take them breakfast tacos now and then.
That's my secret.
Then you're
They love
person.
breakfast tacos.
Exactly. And when they do something, remember them and treat them. Because then when you have one of those issues, it's like, well, she makes us tacos. I'm going to take care of her.
I got that question one
She's part of the
time.
business.
How do you get them to mow the road or whatever before a site visit? That was
Kind of
crazy.
lost. We don't need him.
So how do you get the public works guy to take care of it? Have you ever taken on breakfast tacos? She's like, no. Like they should just be doing these things. I'm like, well, maybe. But why don't you try taking tacos and not asking for anything? And I'll bet the next time you ask for something, it gets done. And it's amazing.
Yep.
It's a great tip. All right. So building trust, building relationships, being intentional with your money, and investing in those kind of moments. Is there any other sort of tip on just how to survive being an economic developer? Because it's not an easy business, right? There's constantly pressure from the public side and the private side and the business owners and all of the different aspects. How have you been able to sort of maintain your, I don't know, sanity, your emotional health?
I don't know. Some people would say I haven't.
That's perception. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Okay, so how are you able to navigate that over, 20 years? You've seen a thing or two and at different things. How have you been able to sort of maintain?
Navigate cautiously through battles.
Oh, that's a good one.
Be sure you know which hill you really want to maybe die on, because what's most important, and really look at that and figure it out, because the politics are not done in this job.
Yeah.
But you've got to learn how to navigate the politics.
But it is part of the job, and the job is worth it. That's what I tell people. It's not for the faint of heart. You are going to have these issues. Just accept that is going to happen and find out what's your why. And I think you hit it on the head. It's like you're part of something larger than yourself. The community 30 years from now is going to be different because you were there. And I think that's a really important key.
And I was in a community once that decided to go in a different direction, and it wasn't the direction that I felt it should go. And that's going to happen too to a lot of people. And that's okay. Maybe that's your sign that there's another community that needs you, that believes they want to go that way, and then you're just meant to go somewhere else.
Right.
And
You're
do
the
good
captain
in another place.
I always liken it to a guide, and sometimes your client doesn't want to go on the trip that you're perfected for. Like I'm a really good fisherman, and that's what I want to do. Well, maybe they want to hunt. And that doesn't have anything to do with your value. I think that's an important thing, is not to take on personal blame or feel like you're somehow not valuable if it's not the right fit for the community. Right. And sometimes that changes.
And sometimes it may not be what the community wants, but it's what the leaders want at that time. And you can't be the person that fights for the community if the leaders don't want it. So go where your vision matches,
right,
and do your thing there.
And I think that's an important key too, is if you love that community, you don't want to move, sometimes you just have to shift into what may be neutral and say, okay, I'm going to let this go the way it needs to go until it's time for us to get back in drive.
Right.
And not that you're not working, but sometimes you just have to not push so hard if you don't have the infrastructure in place to move that.
Right.
Pick your battles. All right. Well, Lisa, thank you. Again, we appreciate what you do for the state of Texas. I will say, it can be a thankless job. We don't always recognize the people that make things happen. Rarely as an economic developer are you on the stage. And rarely are, people recognize the years that it took to get to the stage. It was just you answered the phone. And so I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for sharing with the industry. And thank you for being a friend. It means a lot.
I'm glad I get to do it, and I'm glad I have you as a friend.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.